This is Jamie Drummond for Good Food Revolution. We are joined once again, after some technical difficulties, by none other than Victor Urrutia, who is joining us from Cuney, secreted away in Spain. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing good, thank you. How are you, Jamie?
I'm fantastic, thank you very much. Great to see you again. I was
Likewise.
wondering if you could lead us off by telling us a little bit about what you and your family do across Spain.
Well, we started working in 1879. Okay, company was founded by my great grandfather and his brother. Two brothers married to two sisters, which is a very civilized way of doing things. And they founded Cuney in 1879, and our family has been running it ever since. So I am the proud member, along with my sister Maria, of the fifth generation to run the company.
Now, I have to ask you, where did you get that thick, impenetrable Spanish accent from?
I apologize for the hammy English accent. I was packed off. I think we must have been very bad as children. We were all sent off to boarding school in England, the monastery there, to learn some English and basically get away from home. And I was convinced that my English would go away, the accent and everything, when I lived in the US in my 20s. But that didn't happen. So I'm stuck with this completely un-Spanish accent.
Now, from those small beginnings, you now have wineries all across Spain. Would you mind explaining the size of the operation today?
Sure. We have 4 estates in Rioja. And the original is Cuney. That's where we make the Cuney brand in Aro, Rioja Alta. Then we have Imperial, which is far smaller, also very old, 100 years old, literally 100 years old last year. Didn't really celebrate because of COVID. It's a bit of a shame. And that is in Aro also, right next to the Cuney estate. We move over to Rioja Alavesa. There we have Vigneron, started in the 20s, and that has its own property, its own estate, and Contino, very next to it, very close to it, which is one of the first single estates in Rioja. It's contentious. We think it's the first. Anyway, these 4 estates, between them, we have around 600 hectares of vineyards, strewn across what we think are the best villages of Rioja Alavesa and Rioja Alta. And there you have it. I don't think anybody else in Rioja, or really in Spain for that matter, has as many hectares in ownership as we do across the finest villages in Rioja.
Impressive. And you have some properties out with Rioja as well.
That's right. We do some cava in Barcelona called Roger Goulart, which is also the company's been around for 100 years, although not in our own ownership. We bought it about 4 or 5 years ago. We were, and still are, the importer in Japan. Mm-hmm. And it had done very well. It's very successful in Japan, and they wanted to sell it. We didn't have experience with sparkling wines, but so that daunted me a bit. I was a bit afraid of that. Mm-hmm. But the owners wanted to sell it, and the team would stay along, and they wanted to stay along. And to be honest, they've been really successful in Japan. And I thought, if these guys can make it here in Japan, which is such a complicated and difficult market, the Japanese, yes, so demanding, and they know so much about sparkling wine. If they value this product and they like it and it's done okay, then they must be doing something right. So we made the leap, we bought it, and we're quite happy because it's a small property. It's focused on Grand Reserva cavas, works very well in Japan, but we're doing all right elsewhere. So I can't complain about that. Moving further west, Ribera del Duero, our own very little, it's our new frontier, I think, Ribera del Duero. It's our new world in Spain. People think it's been around forever. It really hasn't. They've been making wine there for a long time, but the current wineries are all quite new. We're far newer than that. There we have, yes, our Bella project, which is beautiful. I think it's our take on Riojan elegance, brought to this rugged land of Ribera del Duero. And our newest project is in in the Valdeorras region in Galicia, northwestern Spain, out in the boondocks. It really is. It's 3 hours away from the nearest airport, whichever that might be. It really is in the middle of nowhere. But that's part of the attractiveness of it. Valdeorras has been making wine since the times of the Romans. It's beautiful, it's scenic, it's completely undeveloped. And there we make Godello, which is a beautiful variety of a beautiful white variety, and some red Mencia, very Atlantic. Godello has become very fashionable in Spain,
Yes.
which is a bit of a shame, really, because I just wish it wasn't, as fashionable as it is. But we have the advantage that it's not really that well known abroad, so we have a mission there to explain to people.
I'm intrigued. A quick question: you don't cultivate Albarino out there?
No, we don't. We don't. There's I think there's no Albarino in Valdeorras. There's Albarino
Right.
in Rías Baixas. There's Albarino in Ribeiro, which I love. I think that, to me, along with Valdeorras, that would be my favorite appellation in Galicia. But Albarino has become, I think it's become a bit saturated here in Spain. It had its moment. It started 20 years ago, but before that. The top states of Albarino are fantastic, and I love them very much.
Mm-hmm.
But I do get the feeling that the very Spanish thing, we find something that we like, and then we overproduce it and we kill it a bit. And I do get the feeling that might have happened a bit with Albarino. I do think it's been overcropped.
Huh.
So you've got to be careful. As always, in Spain and Italy, you have to be careful when you choose. It's for better. The good side, I think, the good thing about Spain and Italy is, one of the many good things, is that people are charming and lovely and open, and one of the not so good things is that perhaps we're not as rigorous when it comes to certain things as perhaps the French. That's not to say our products aren't as good as what they do in France, but the French, they like to be Napoleonic and be very strict about some things, and we're a bit more laid back about that. And it goes with our Latin character, I think. So yeah, so I think you with this is a massive generalization, so a pinch of salt. But I do think in Spain and Italy, you have to do a bit of extra work when you find a region that you like, and to seek out the estates that you think are the best, because often a lot of people rely on the reputation of the region to sell their products, and perhaps they're not as good as the top estates. I think this applies as much to Rías Baixas as to Rioja as to Piedmont. But thinking this through, that I'm saying, it probably applies to France also, to Bordeaux. But
to a certain degree, yes. Now, if I were to ask you what the overarching philosophy was of these different wineries in disparate parts of Spain was, what would you say that could be?
I think I've thought about this a lot, and we can ramble on, and the marketing people will come up with fantastic slogans that apply everywhere. Yeah, to me, really, this really comes from the heart. I think that we are ambassadors for the best that our country can produce. Whenever I do tastings, or did before the COVID, in front of people, I would always start talking about our country. This is how I would start, and this is how I would finish. Now, this, surprisingly, is not such a common approach in Spain. In fact, nobody does that in Spain. People will start talking about themselves, about their family, about their project. They might talk about the village where they're based, about their vineyards, perhaps their region, and maybe as an afterthought, they'll discuss their country. And we do the opposite. We start by saying, well, this is Spain, this is where it is on the map. These are the things that our country is known for. We think it's a wonderful country. We love it very much. We have many, many good things that we like people to know about: our food, our art, and of course our wine. And then I will talk about what we have across Spain. We started in Rioja, but we have all these projects that I just mentioned across Spain. And we're very proud of them, because I do think that we try to represent what is good about our country, and fly the flag. And we have no problem with that. In fact, we're quite happy to do that. So that's really what we seek to do across all of Spain. That's at a sort of first level. That's what we try and achieve. At a first level, and also deep down, that's what we want to do. I could think of another common trait or philosophy in what we do, And this really is inherited from our forefathers, same as the first idea. You know, we haven't invented, our generation hasn't invented anything. We haven't really done much. We've continued to work with what they did before. But the second thing would be to do wines that can age and become better over time. I remember reading once Martin Amis, and he was talking about, it was an interview with him, and they asked him about such and such a writer, and he said, well, you know, he needs to pass the test. And the interviewer said, well, what do you mean, what test? He said, well, the only one that counts, which is time.
Right.
And I think he was spot on. He was absolutely right. You know, with whether it's literature or art or wine, it needs to pass the test of time. Something can be amazing now, a movie or a movie star, yeah, when they're very young and great. But me, the trick, the test of greatness is, can you be even better over time, and can you persist over generations? You know, a movie star that is good now, well, great. There's lots of them, but a movie star that was good, that was good 50 years ago and is still considered good now, there's not that many of those. You know? And I think that also happens with wine. It needs to become better over time.
Well, that would correlate with my thoughts about your house, your family house, and that would be that you are very much traditionalists when it comes to wine production. Would that be a fair statement?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I think tradition is there's many ways you can define tradition, but I think one of them is to have a lot of respect for what was done in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And whether it's a guy with tattoos over his face serving coffee in Brooklyn, or whether it's a vigneron lost in some village in Spain or in France, they probably have the same idea in their minds that what was done before was a good thing. And to me, that's tradition, you know, to recognize what was done in the past as a good thing and something worth persevering at and worth preserving. Really, that's what we do.